True, Mary Alice Parks, that there were gasps on the floor of the Senate when John McCain voted against the health care bill?
Absolutely. Audible gasp. People were shocked, especially Democrats. You could see they almost wanted to burst out of their seats. They were excited that essentially he was voting with them. He was voting for now to keep Obamacare as the law of the land, delivering a real defeat to the Republicans' last proposal to repeal it.
All right, so is it dead now? Are they going to bring it back? Where does this stand now?
Well, we say in Washington that things are like they are until they're not. So who knows? But for now, McConnell says that they're moving on. He said it is time to move on, that he is turning his sights to tax reform. We do know that some committee chairmen have already planned and set up some hearings on the healthcare issues in the fall, but it will very likely not be focused on general repeal, but instead very specific topics like prescription drug costs or things that they could maybe do to get more options, insurance plan options back in the marketplaces. I think the idea of repealing the Affordable Care Act for now is absolutely tabled. Most likely they will work with Democrats if they want to get anything done in healthcare.
Mary Alice Parks, the conversation yesterday got bizarre where senators were saying they'd vote for this bill, they wanted assurance that the bill they're voting for never would become law. So it got really bizarre. But how much of this was John McCain taking one for the team so that they could all say they voted for it but blame John McCain?
It's really interesting. I think you're exactly right that it was totally bizarre. I kept thinking that Lindsey Graham essentially gave Democrats campaign ads for the future. He stood up there in front of the cameras and said, this bill that I'm about to vote for is a disaster and it can't become law. And there would be dire consequences of it if it did. But I'm going to vote for it because I think we can get to a conference committee and move on, and we could come up with something different when we meet with the House. I mean, this idea that he was going to vote for something that he didn't like just to keep the process going is frankly weird for a lot of Americans to understand. It's a very weird political move, and it just was too much of a charade for John McCain. That theory of yours, whether he took one for the team, is really interesting. I don't think that he plans to seek re-election. He's obviously just had that really dire brain cancer diagnosis, which was pretty unbelievable, rocked his family and everyone here in D.C. So he definitely sort of center stage, and where this goes from here, I don't know.
Donald Trump, President Trump, tweeted a few days ago, our brave John McCain making the trip back from Arizona, calling him a hero, but then called him a loser for being captured in war. Any word from the White House on what they're thinking about John McCain now?
Right. They're angry. I mean, the White House, President Trump at least, up early this morning tweeting that he's disappointed and upset that 3 Republicans broke ranks, saying that he should just let the Obamacare law implode now. But it is, you're right, it's such interesting imagery there. You have McCain, who has been one of his most vocal critics, who President Trump just criticized when he was candidate Trump. People were really shocked when Donald Trump did that, when he insulted John McCain, who's so liked here in D.C. I remember back then people wondered if that was the beginning of the end of President Trump's campaign when he seemed to go after McCain. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Obviously, he came out on top, but it is so interesting that those things seem to come back around. And here's McCain keeping this huge part of their agenda just from going forward.
You can't make it up. Mary Alice Parks, ABC News correspondent in Washington. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
You got